podcast where people reach their goals and develop confidence one mind shift habit at a time. Let's join our host, certified coach Christina.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach. I am your host, certified mindset and confidence coach, Christina Callaway. I serve athletes, parents, organizations, and anyone who needs help in shifting their mindset to reach their goals. I am super excited that you have joined me for this episode. Each week when I come to you, before you see me, you see an intro and you hear a voice. Well, today's guest is the voice, and I'm going to bring him in just a moment, but I want to share a little bit of information about him and how we got to get introduced to one another. My special guest was born and raised in South Carolina. Over the years, many people told him that he had a nice voice and that he should use the gift God gave him. He never really knew what way he would use the gift. And as time passed, he developed a love of the written word as well as the spoken word. Soon, he chose his career. As a voiceover artist, he has had the pleasure of marrying the two. His dad once told him that if you love what you do, then you will never work a day in your life. He and I have that in common. I believe that too. He can honestly say that once he began his voiceover journey, he has yet to break a sweat from working. I like that because my motto is, I have never worked a day in my life, and I don't know what it would feel like to work. With that being said, please put some love in the chat and help me welcome our guest, voiceover artist, Mel Hughes. Hey, Mel.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So
Good.
how weird did that feel to hear your voice and to see your work?
It was interesting. I mean, I hear my voice all the time, but to know that I'm actually about to be interviewed because of it, it's different and it's kind of cool.
Kind of surreal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely understand that. And I remember when I first heard your voice and I saw some digital work that you had done on LinkedIn, and the timing couldn't have been better because I was searching and trying to create an intro for this very podcast. And as soon as I heard your voice, I was like, that's it. I have got to get in contact with them. And the rest, as they say, is history.
It is.
Now, we are talking about voiceover. You and I understand what that means, and maybe some in the audience might also. But for just the few who may not understand, I want you to tell briefly what it is and tell us about your story. How'd you get started in this?
Okay, so voiceover is essentially, if you listen to the radio or watch television, it's the person that you hear speaking. So the individuals that are speaking in commercials or narrators for audiobooks, those are the individuals that do voiceover. And we've been here all the time, but nobody, it's kind of like the person that you know about, but you don't really know about them because you've never actually been introduced to them. And like, hi, I'm the guy. And it's really cool. And I really enjoy it. And it's definitely one of the best jobs that I've ever had in my life.
That is amazing. How did you, because I think I read somewhere, maybe you shared it with me. I think we had a conversation and you shared it with me, that the pandemic had a huge impact on your voiceover business.
It did. So for a while, I had been tinkering with voiceover as a hobby. And due to the pandemic, the place where I was working at the time, they had a lot of layoffs. And so I was one of those individuals that got laid off. And my wife, being the angel that she is, she said, well, babe, why don't you just go ahead and try to pursue voiceover full time? And with her blessing, we crunched the numbers because my wife is an accountant, and we crunched the numbers, worked everything out, and here I am. I was able to pursue my dream full time, and now it's a career.
So I was reading in your bio how you were always told as a kid that you had a great voice
Hmm.
and you should use your voice. I'm one of those individuals, and I know that I'm not alone, but initially it feels really weird to hear me play my voice back, to listen to my podcast after it's aired and just to go back. I
Hmm.
will even be transparent and say sometimes it's uncomfortable. What was it about you and your voice that helped you to not feel that way, or if you did, see beyond it?
Um, Public speaking. So I'm of the mindset of that God will place you in situations and circumstances that's going to prepare you for something. Maybe not today, but it'll prepare you for something later on down the line. So several jobs that I've had throughout the years have allowed me to use public speaking as the gift that I have in order to deliver a message. One of the jobs that I had several years ago when I lived in California was as a facilitator for a victim awareness program. So
Oh.
I had to stand in front of youth for a couple of hours every night
Mhm.
and give speeches on how to encourage these young people to straighten up their act, so to speak, so that they won't end up in the system.
Right.
Um, and that job was a blessing because one, I got to practice public speaking, but
Yeah.
two, I also got to help a lot of youth and young people in the city of San Jose and the county of Santa Clara. And that job was very rewarding because I got to practice, number one, but number two, and the most important thing is that I got to help the youth.
Mm.
And there were several times when I'd be out around town where I just have a random individual tap me on the shoulder, say, "Hey, are you Mr. Mel?" Yeah. Do you remember me? I remember meeting this one young lady at the grocery store, and she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Sir, because of you, I stopped hanging around the people that I was hanging around. I started
Oh,
going to school on a more consistent basis,
good.
and now I'm on the track to graduate high school." And so things like that are so very rewarding.
Yes, I'm sure that made you feel extremely proud of her
Oh, yes.
and of yourself for being able to have an impact like that.
Hmm.
When it comes to coming up with creative names or for your business or for maybe a podcast
Uh-huh.
or anything like that, it's a struggle for me. And I know some people it's not. They can just think of it really quick and it's really catchy and you're like, "Oh, I see that so clearly." So when I saw that you named your company Voice-Mel using your name instead of that, I was like, "That is so perfect." It is extremely in just how did you come up with it?
Uh, I just say it was a gift from God. It's just one of those natural things. People have been telling me, like you had mentioned before, that I have a nice voice and I should use it. And um, let's put it like this: anybody that knows me post 2008, anybody prior to 2008 calls me Melvin.
Okay.
But when I moved to California in 2008, I kind of had a bit of an identity change. And
Mhm.
so I started asking people to call me Mel. And so it was just natural. I love to use my voice. My name's
Yes.
Mel. Let's just marry the two together.
It's just so catchy and it makes so much sense because you are a voiceover artist.
Yes.
And that was the same thing that I thought as well when I came across what the name of your company was, Voice-Mel. I thought, yeah, this was definitely ordained by God because he has the right name. He has the voice to go with it. Why not? It's just a no-brainer.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have several people that I know who
Hmm.
have really deep voices, such as yourself.
Hmm.
And they shared that while they were growing up, it was before they embraced it, it was something that they were actually shy of. Some people have used the words I was embarrassed by because I had this deep voice at such a young age, and
Uh-huh.
people would say something to me, and when I would talk, they would have like, oh my gosh, such a strong voice out of a young man.
Hmm.
Tell me your experience and what it was like, and when did your voice get to be so deep?
Um, I think it was right around somewhere in high school, sophomore, junior year. That's when, the changes start. Because prior
Hmm.
to that, I can remember my voice was super high.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and somewhere in high school, the switch just flipped,
Right.
and my voice got a little deeper, and it got very deep, and I was it's funny how you were talking about some individuals where they'd speak to some people and they'd be taken aback. Same thing happened
Yes.
to me. So
Yes.
I almost have to whisper sometimes so as not to surprise too many people.
Yes.
Uh, a funny story with that. My niece, one of my oldest nieces, she was born. She's about 13 now, but when she was born, I went to the hospital to go visit my brother and his wife. I walk in the room and I speak to everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing? How's my niece doing? And instantly she burst into tears, started screaming to the top of her lungs. And
Really?
my brother looked at me. He was like, dude, you're going to have to lighten some of the bass out of your voice. You just scared her. I was like, what you want me to do? Whisper? I'm like, for the rest of my life? So
I wonder what it was about your deep voice that for a baby that it just kind of unnerved her.
I don't know. And for the first 18 months of her life, she and I were not friends, at least from her perspective. But one day, I guess I may have said the right thing, and she became my best friend. And
Oh,
so now Miss Jayla and we're tight. We speak
oh
every
my
Thursday.
goodness. So, like you said, it happened when you were in high school and
Hmm.
it started getting deep and then got very deep.
Yeah,
When you first opened your mouth to speak and that shift had gone from really high to the first low level, what did you think?
I was like, what's going on?
Did you
Like,
try to clear your throat? Like,
yeah, I had to clear my throat and like, excuse me. And it didn't change. It just kept going lower and lower. And my brothers would look at me like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. Like, I have no clue. I have no
oh my
control over this.
I
And,
love it. Here's something that I've always wondered,
uh,
and it might just be that misconceptions for me or for others who believe this, but the individuals that I was sharing with you who
mhm,
have deep voices, they are excellent singers. Are
uh,
you a good singer?
I have 10 Grammys from singing in the shower. Hey, man, listen, Luther ain't got nothing on me as long as the water running. But honestly though, I've only sang in public once.
Oh.
And it was I kind of cheated because it was pre-recorded.
Hmm.
And that was the day I got married. So I sang
Oh.
for my wife at our wedding. Um, Anthony Hamilton, The Point of It All.
Yes,
So
I can. I definitely see that. That is
mhm,
amazing. So
mhm,
once, like I shared with you, when I switched over my intros and came to the one that you did for me,
uh-huh,
I immediately would get questions in my comments or my DMs like, that is so cool. Like, who did that for you? And of course, I would share it with them.
mhm.
And for anyone who's watching and they have the need for a voiceover, or they're trying to decide, do I need voiceover? What would you say why voiceover? How would you answer that for them?
Well, voiceover helps to touch a different audience. It also helps people to get a different voice, so to speak. So um to it it helps an individual to put a little bit of a different spin on something,
Hmm.
or helps to put more passion or a deeper breadth or sound into what it is you're trying to say.
Hmm.
And I've worked on several different projects to help bring those things to light, whether it be voicing a general in a video game, or announcing players at sporting events, or even, which, oh well, I guess we can get into that part later. But
Mhm.
I've had several projects where I've had to use my voice in various different ways or tones to
Okay.
help breathe life into a project. And that's what voiceover does. It helps to breathe life into projects.
I know that I can definitely attest to that, because after you created that for me, and
Mhm.
then I'm just going to share with everybody, he went over and above. I originally reached out to Mel for his voice for my intro and outro for this very podcast. Lo and behold, I get the recordings from him and I'm super satisfied. And then I get an email that says, I'm working on something. What do you think about this? And when I opened it up, and it was the actual intro that you see right now, I was blown away just to see me come into being, see my ideas, my thoughts, what I do be transformed into that drawing. And I don't even know the right word to use for it, but it was amazing. And it is to your point, it does take it to another level, and it does touch another audience, a different audience, and it brings awareness and attention. So I will share with anyone, if you are branding something, and from a visual and or sound perspective, voiceover is the way that it goes. Now, having said that, we know that all things aren't so much created equal. Can you share with someone who is considering voiceover what they should be looking for?
Well, you have to think about what it is you're trying to advertise, or what are you trying to put out there. Um, are you looking to have a male voice versus a female voice? Are you what audience are you connecting to? So it wouldn't make much sense for someone like myself to be the voice of a podcast for women empowerment.
Right.
It'd be cool, but I think it'd be a little counterproductive. If you like a female voiceover artist, I can recommend someone, and she's a very good friend of mine. But what you need to do is just find out what lane you're looking for, and how can you voiceover can help you get there.
Right.
It's just finding the perfect voice to match what it is you're trying to get. And the thing about voiceover and voiceover artists is, um, once you share your vision with them, they
Mm-hmm.
can help adjust their voice and their tone to
Oh,
help reach the goals that you're trying to set.
that is really good information. I did not know that, in terms of you all having that ability to adjust your voice to meet the goals and the objectives of your client. That's really good information, and I'm
Hmm.
today finding out about that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned briefly about some of the projects that you have done. You mentioned
Uh-huh.
about being a voice in games and gaming,
Uh-huh.
and doing the announcing at sporting events and things of
Hmm.
that sort. What projects are you most proud of?
Well, I think it was last year. It's on my website. It's called Run Your Race. It's a Black History, excuse me, it's a Black History Month video that was done, I think, in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that one. It's a lot of passion. It shows a lot of the range from my voice, but
Wow.
more so the visuals of it, and the way the production team was able to match my voice with the visuals was absolutely amazing. So I voiced that. I'm also the voice not only of your podcast, which I'm very proud of. I'm also the voice of the church that I attend, which is the Promised Land Church ATL.
Uh-huh.
So on our Wednesdays and Sunday services, I'm the first and the last voice that you hear. So if you'd like to check that out. You can visit we're on YouTube, so the Promised Land Church ATL. So you can check us out on there, and it's oh, thelandatl.com is the website. So I've done work for the church. I've done work for you. I've also done work on a video game called Conqueror's Edge. It's a PC MMO game where I play a general. That one was different because I had to do a lot of yelling.
Oh,
And I'm not my voice is deep. So when I yell, it strains the vocal cords.
oh,
But it was fun. It was fun. That one was very fun. It was different, but it was fun. I really enjoyed that one. But I must say the coolest thing that I've done thus far is I did an internal promotional video, which the sad part about it is I don't think it'll ever see the light of day to the general public.
oh,
That's sad.
that is.
But I did a video of I voiced a video for the USA Olympic team. So all the Olympians. We're talking like every Olympic sport: swimming, tennis, basketball, baseball, weightlifting, gymnastics. So like they had this meeting where all of the Olympians meet up, and they did a kind of like a hype video for everybody as they're entering the venue.
Yes.
And so as they're entering, they get to watch this video, and my voice is the one that they hear. So
oh my gosh,
that was cool. So when I got the call for that one, got a little goosebumps because I love watching the Olympics, whether it's winter or summer or oh gosh, I get really excited about that.
That is so awesome. That is so cool to just to know that you're in those different, and they're so vastly different. We go from being a gaming voice for a character to being the voice that hypes up the Olympians before they go out to compete. I mean, they're so different. And then you are the first voice and the last voice for your church, as well as for my podcast. I just can't even imagine, you know, a lot of times when, even for this, and this is why I wanted you to come on the podcast, for voice artists, we rarely see you, but we hear you all the time. It's like, I want to know the person behind the voice. And, you know, no pun intended, and not trying to give any TV show any credit here, but it really is when you have that commanding voice and you are using it to affect so many different things. People are very curious. They form their own perceptions because they don't ever get to see the person behind the voice. And that's why I wanted to have you on, is because I wanted everyone to see who you are. Now, I want to ask you a question. You are welcome. I wanted to ask you a question. What is the video call that you created of me for my intro?
It's a whiteboard drawing.
Oh, so in addition to doing voice-mail, you also create those
whiteboard drawing. Yes, I can do those as well. Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know for organizations, some coaches, some people who are online and that sort of thing, I've seen those actual whiteboard drawings done for training purposes, for course development. Have you actually worked with any clients to help be the voice? Like, they'll provide you with the script, they'll tell you what they want the slides to look like. They might even have it in PowerPoint. They send it to you, then you create it. Have you done any projects like that?
I've done a couple of internal projects. Yes. And those are fun. Those are fun as well. And again, like you were saying, they provide you with the script, everything that you need to say. They tell you where they want certain things to line up. And, you know, using the technology that we have today, I'm able to provide that.
That is so awesome. I actually have a program that has a whiteboard, and I'll be honest with you, I've not used it because I don't understand how to use it. To me, it seems so overwhelming. To watch what you created, it was like, golly, how did he do that? So how did you get into that sort of the whiteboard work?
So when I first started advertising voicemail, I wanted to do something different in order to be able to promote it. And I saw a whiteboard advertisement online.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think I could try that. And at the time, I didn't know that I would be able to venture into doing that. So I outsourced it. So I hired someone to do it for me. I provided them the voiceover. I told them everything that I wanted added to said video, and they did it. It came out great, and I was very pleased with it. And so I just did some research, and I decided to try to do it on my own, which I can do it on my own now. But if my version of it, or the original video, that's on my website.
And that was the one that caught my attention. That was
Hmm.
the one where your face is just your face, and the background I think is black, but you are coming, you come on, your face comes on to
Hmm.
talk about voicemail.
Uh-huh.
And that was the one that I saw on LinkedIn. And I was like,
Okay.
this is so cool. It brings it, because there's different types of people. There are some who are auditory, like they hear everything. And
Uh-huh.
if they can't hear it, they really can't understand it.
Right.
Then there are those who are visual, they have to see it.
Hmm.
And then the kinesthetics, the ones that actually want to see things like in action and be able to feel it, touch it, and
Yep.
that sort of thing. And I connected with your video for voicemail on all of those levels. And I thought that really is a way to capture your audience and to capture the attention. And like I mentioned before, most voiceover artists, if we don't see their face, and even in the
Hmm.
caricatures, you can you did a great job of creating
Oh,
that caricature, because it
thank you.
looks very similar to you.
Thank you.
Sometimes when you see caricatures, it's like, wait,
Not.
it's not
It's
me.
yeah.
So how long have you been doing? I think I heard you say the pandemic. So it's been roughly about what, 18 months, 2 years that you decided to focus on it
Yes. Full time. Yes.
full
So
time.
yeah. So I've decided to focus on it full time for about 2 years.
Right.
But prior to that, I would just practice. Do a lot of I'd mimic what I'd hear on the radio, or quote different lines from television. Like my wife would get on me all the time with my daughter. Uh, Whenever it was story time with my daughter, whenever I read her a story at night, I would always voice different character. The characters would always have different voices, and she would be in the other room. My wife would be in the other room, cracking up, listening to me and my little girl in the room, just telling each other stories all night.
Oh my gosh. Your daughter or your kids must just absolutely love your voice, because I will tell you, it would be very easy, extremely easy for me to listen to an audiobook with
Mhm.
your voice.
Oh, thank you.
And having said that, have you ever done any audiobooks?
I've done a couple. One is it's yet to be released. Well, both have yet to be released. One is a Christian book by a gentleman that I know. It's titled Love, and
Hmm.
another we're in the process. Well, they're in the process of seeing if they're gonna move forward with my recordings or not. But it's a romance novel.
Okay.
Those are different. Those are different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, those are different. We'll see how that one goes.
Right. So if someone did, like, we might have someone who is an author,
Hmm.
they're watching this and they're like, oh, that might be a way for me to get my book on audio. How does
Hmm.
that process usually work? And at what point do they bring you in?
So what I use now is a platform called ACX. So it's connected with Audible. And so individuals will post scripts on there, and they'll have authors such as myself audition for it, read just a chapter or so, and they'll go through, listen, say, okay, well, I like the way this person's voice sounds, and then they'll offer the position to them.
Hmm.
Or I've had people come up to me just straight up and ask, like, hey, how much would you charge to read my book?
That is
And
awesome.
audiobooks are cool, especially if you like what you're reading, because you
Okay.
get something
The
from it.
next question.
If you get something from it, and you get to convey your love for what you're reading to the audience.
Absolutely. So it
Hmm.
sounds really authentic and believable.
Yes.
How does the process work? And when you get the script, do you need to read the entire book first and then go into the recording of it?
Typically, when what you hear is probably the first time I've read it. So, but I do read a chapter, a few paragraphs to get into a rhythm of the writing style of the author. So
Hmm.
there is some practice involved, but because it takes a while to read a book,
I was just going to
and
ask you how long does it take on
um
average?
the average book is anywhere between 4 to 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you can't do it all at one time because it puts a
Nope.
lot of strain and stress on your voice. So
Hmm.
you have to break it up over time. And one reason you don't want to read a lot is because when you listen to it,
Hmm.
you'll be able to hear that, hey, their energy level doesn't sound the same in chapter 4 versus chapter 2.
Hmm.
So the goal is to keep your energy levels the same and to just try to be across the board with the the style in which you deliver the written word. And also with audiobooks, it also depends on the author in terms of if they have multiple characters in the book,
Oh.
uh, how they want those characters to be read. Now,
Hmm.
one thing that's that's challenging for me is conveying the tone of a female, because
Yeah.
by my voice being so deep, it's hard for me to kind of switch it up
Yeah.
and kind of sound like Christina.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that has to be negotiated in the beginning. Do you want me to do different characters, or am I trying to read it just across the board?
Right. Absolutely. So in moving forward,
Mhm.
where do you see voicemail going? What are some things that you have always wanted to get the opportunity to do and you're looking forward to that happening?
Moving forward, I want to I want to be the voice of a company, and my wife and I have started an apparel company
Oh.
called God Element Apparel,
Hmm.
and we're going to be releasing uh, releasing our first shirts sometime in September of this year. Hopefully, the 1st of September, but we'll see. And I will be the voice of God Element Apparel,
That
and
is super exciting.
it is, and I guess we can put the website down in the show notes, but
Yes.
it will be godelementapparel.com. But aside from working with my own company, where, like I said, I'm partnered with my lovely wife, she's the best. Um, I just enjoy working with people, and I love reading. I love reading, and I love bringing the written word to life. And like you said in the intro about me, like I love to marry the two. So whether it's an audiobook, whether it's short form work like doing commercials for radio, television, or intros and outros for podcasts, I look
Hmm.
forward to doing all of it because voiceover is, for me, it's fun. And for this to be a job
Right.
for me,
Yeah.
basketball players play ball.
Right.
Me, I get to talk into a microphone, and this is
Do you
great.
ever, honestly, do you ever get tired of people asking you to talk or doing any of the voiceovers?
I do not.
Oh, that's really
I
good.
I don't. I don't. I mean, like physically, my body gets tired, but the
Right.
drive to do it is there. Sometimes I have to make myself stop because I don't want to wear myself out, and I don't want to tire out my vocal cords. But
Right.
the drive is always there.
Always there.
Um, but I'm
That
not
is
spring chicken.
so awesome. And I'm so happy to hear it.
Mhm.
There may be this. this may get to a young man who has a very deep voice and maybe is trying to figure out what to do in life. What advice would you give that individual and to open up his mindset to becoming a voice artist?
Always strive to learn. There are a ton of coaches out there that can help you progress through life. And at the same time, there are some individuals who are here to just try to make a dollar.
Yeah.
But it's all about trying to find the right niche, praying and asking God to just introduce you to the right people.
Yes.
Because I've been extremely blessed to have been introduced to a lot of phenomenal people.
Yeah.
And training is number one.
Okay.
Practice is number two. Practice, practice, practice. You'll never get good if you never practice at it.
Anything. That is so very true.
Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant didn't wake up and become great.
No, they didn't.
I was never, while he was in his prime playing, I was never a Kobe Bryant fan. But
I'm his number one fan.
well, good. But as he got older, as he got more mature, he began to open up. Because when Kobe was younger, he was very private. He didn't reveal anything about himself.
No.
But as he got older, he got more open, and he started to show a little bit more about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I gained a ton more respect for him, because I respected him more as a man to start. And then I appreciated, I had always appreciated his basketball, his game. The dude he could always ball. But when I found out how much work he put into his craft, that became an inspiration for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Kobe could get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, have an entire workout, go eat breakfast, and then meet all of his teammates in the gym for practice and go full on. Why can't I get up a little bit earlier so that I can perfect my craft as well?
That is so true. That is so true. Mel, I could go on, and I am going to ask you to come back once the apparel company launches.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your wife come on so that we can talk about that. So keep me posted on that. Tell me that website one more time.
It's www.godelementapparel.com. That's GODELEMENTAPPAREL.com.
Got it. That is excellent. Well, we've come to the point where I do my call to action. And for everyone that is watching and you were anxiously waiting to how to get in touch with Mel, how to ask him more questions, here is your chance. You don't have to worry about writing any of this down because it's going to live in the show notes. So he can be found on Facebook at I am voice-mel, M-E-L. He can be found on Instagram at voice.mel, M-E-L. And then on LinkedIn, look for Mel Hughes. And he mentioned the two websites. His voicemail website is voice-mel.com, and then his apparel company, he just shared that with us. I want you all to follow him, share. You know someone out there who has been saying that they need his services. Now you've met the person behind my voice on this podcast, and I appreciate you so very much. Before I let you get out, for final thoughts, what is the one mindset shift you would like to share with the audience as it relates to transitioning? Because you did go through a transition before you decided to do this full time. So share with them the mindset shift on transitioning and how to use their gifts.
Well, when you transition, it's all about focusing your mind. You have to make up in your mind first that this is what I want to do. And then you have to be able and willing to put in the work to be able to get to where you want to be. It's not going to be easy. Right. It's rarely easy. And if it's too easy, it probably isn't worth it.
It probably is.
And leaning on individuals' advice, their kind words, find someone that could be a mentor for you. And I'm gonna be honest with you, speaking to an individual like Christina here, she's always an inspiration to me because
Thank you.
whenever I talk to Christina, I just smile. I have a great day. I know I'm gonna have a great day whenever I speak to Christina. So find someone that can be encouraging to you, but not someone that will enable you. You need to have someone that's going to tell you no when you need to hear it and point you in the right direction. All right.
Yes.
Someone that's going to hold you accountable.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much. As
Thank
I
you.
said, we can go on and on, but we don't have to get it all in this one because you and your wife are going to come back the next time and talk. It's going to be all thing God's Element Apparel. And I'm excited
Yes.
to learn more about that company. It has
Awesome.
been my honor and privilege to have you and to share you with my audience. I appreciate all that you do. And the intro and outro is just the beginning for our relationship. And I'm looking forward to more exciting things. I'm going to say goodbye to my audience, and then I'll be right back with you.
All right.
And there you have it. Now you have met the person behind the voice for Conversations with Coach. And he shared so much, and I hope you found value in it. I would appreciate you, those of you who are following me, thank you so much. And I would appreciate it if you would share. If you found value in this, share the link with someone else. You can connect with me on all of my Instagram, my Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, at Christina Mindset Coach. And just as Mel said, it has to come with a mindset and a mindset shift when you want to transition and do something outside of what you normally do. Well, that's why I'm here. I want you to visit my website and schedule your clarity call so that we can discuss whatever goals you have and how you could possibly reach those a little bit quicker. Again, I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Coach. Please be sure to follow Coach Christina on all of her social media platforms. And remember, life is only as good as your mindset.